Old Bridge Arts Link.
Hello, is this where you get information about the Arts Festival?
That's right. Did you want some tickets?
Well, maybe, but I wanted to find out what was happening first.
Have you seen the programme?
No, not yet.
Well, let me see. Yes, this year we have events at 3 different venues. The first is the old bus station Arts Centre.
Oh, yes, opposite the library.
That's right. The second venue is the Town Hall. The third is Lincoln Park. Last year everything was there, but it rained so heavily they decided to move some of the events indoors for this year.
Good idea. So what's on?
Well, in the afternoon between 2 and 4 at the Arts Centre, there's a play for children called Uncle Spoon and the Yellow Balloon.
Right.
They're very good. I took my daughter last year.
I'll probably give that one a miss.
OK. At the same time at the Town Hall, there's Chasing Clouds, which it says here is poetry readings. Meanwhile, in the park, there's a folk singer, Nick Goose.
Oh, I think I've heard of him.
The next lot of events are on in the late afternoon to early evening, starting at around 5 and due to finish at 7:30.
OK, so what's on then?
A storytelling workshop in the Arts Centre. Over at the Town Hall they've got 3 new short plays. They go under the title First Steps. And in the park there's a band called Trad Dad and the Modern All-Stars.
What sort of music do they play? Pop? Rock?
No. Jazz, I think.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Then in the evening you've got Gypsy Ballads. That's Spanish dance at the Arts Centre. Stand-up comedian Eddie Hicks is at the Town Hall, supposed to be very funny, and in the park you've got a heavy metal band called Maidenhead.
Maidenhead?
Yes, very loud, they say. You like that sort of thing, do you?
Well, I don't mind, yeah.
So, does any of that interest you?
Yes. Can I buy a ticket from you?
Unfortunately not. We've been having problems with the system this morning. I can send you a ticket application form if you like.
Yes, please.
If I can just take your details. What name is it?
Simon Evans. That's SIMONEVANS.
OK. And can I take your address, please?
Certainly. It's 83A York Way. That's YORK Way. Number 83A.
And that's Old Bridge, is it?
Yes. Do you need my phone number?
Yes, please.
It's 9300-2344.
And what sort of ticket did you require?
Is there a choice?
Oh, yes. A group ticket is £20 per person.
How many in a group?
6 or more.
Oh, no, it's just me. Just the one.
And you're over 18?
Yes.
Oh, shame. You could have had a child's ticket for £12. So it looks like you'll have to pay the regular.
And how much is that?
£25. But for that you can see anything you like.
OK, that's fine.
And can I just ask you how you came to hear about our arts festival?
I do remember seeing a poster at a bus stop, but that was for a circus. Could it have been a newspaper? I don't think anyone told me about it either. No, it must have been in the paper.
Fine. I'll get this in the post to you this afternoon, and I hope you enjoy the festival.
Yes, thank you. I hope so too.
Progress Test 2. Listening.
These days, more and more people are taking up growing their own vegetables. Now, getting started growing your own vegetables isn't too tricky if you follow a few basic rules. The first is how to lay out your vegetable garden or allotment. Of course, there are as many different vegetable gardens as there are vegetable gardeners, but most have more or less the same elements in common. So, let's take mine as an example. We've got a little map of it here. You enter the allotment through a little gate at the bottom here. Immediately on your left is the manure heap, and on the right are the all-important compost bins. We'll talk about how to construct these in a minute. Back to the map. Looking straight ahead, you see a pathway which runs through the middle of the vegetable beds. There are 2 beds on either side of the path. Carrying on up the path, on the left is the strawberry patch. Try to keep this area free from weeds or pests, such as slugs, and you'll be rewarded with delicious succulent fruit. Directly opposite, on the other side of the path, is a bed full of tall plants, sweet corn, Jerusalem artichokes and the like. These give you a bit of privacy when you're relaxing in the sitting-out area just behind it. Finally, in the top right-hand corner of the plot is the shed, where you can keep all your tools. In the other corner is a greenhouse, perfect for growing chili peppers, courgettes, or even grapes. Right, let's get back to those 4 narrow beds. Why have 4 of them? Well, over the years, gardeners have found that using what's called a rotation system gives the best results. In this system, closely related vegetables are grouped together and are all grown in the same bed for 1 year and are then all moved to a different bed for the next year. So, let's look at what we'd grow in one bed over a 3-year period. In the first year, we'll have legumes, vegetables like peas and beans. Now, legumes improve the soil by releasing nitrogen into it, so they are followed in the second year by the brassicas, things like cabbages and broccoli, which have a high nitrogen requirement. In the third year, we'll plant vegetables from the potato group. This includes potatoes, obviously, but also tomatoes, peppers and aubergines. These plants can prevent soil sickness and also, with their large foliage, help to stop the spread of weeds. So, if we've got a 3-year rotation cycle, why have we got 4 beds? Well, the 4th bed is for your permanent crops, such as rhubarb, raspberries and globe artichokes. I said earlier, the most important thing in your vegetable garden is probably your compost bin. This provides you with lots of decayed organic matter to dig into the soil, to feed it and create the perfect conditions for growing vegetables. There are many types of compost bins commercially available, but it's much cheaper to make your own. Here's how. First, build a wall out of breeze blocks in the shape of a capital letter E. This will give you 2 compartments and allow you to use compost from one bin while the second is still being built up. Either side of each opening, place 2 upright posts. The front of each bin is composed of removable wooden boards which can be slotted behind the posts. This gives you easy access to the compost but stops it falling out. The composting process will be improved if there is adequate ventilation. So each bin has a brick base for this purpose, on top of which is a rigid mesh screen. Whatever you want to compost, vegetable peelings, tea bags, eggshells, grass cuttings and so on, can all be added to the bin. As the compost decays, it generates heat, which in turn speeds up the process. So it's important to keep the heat in. You can do this by covering each bin with a piece of old carpet. Don't forget to weigh it down with some bricks. Moving on now, let's look at dealing with garden pests.
Progress Test 3.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Vaughan. Just working on my presentation on the decline of the British bird population.
Birds?
Did you know the number of countryside birds has decreased dramatically over the last 2 decades?
Can't say I'd noticed. I don't get out to the country much.
Well, maybe you should, while there's still some birds there.
Well, Shelley, these things happen. We can't...
This is important, Vaughan. The status of the wild bird population is indicative of the health of the environment. A struggling bird population means a sick environment.
So why is this happening?
Mainly loss of habitat. The countryside is quite different from what it was 20 or 30 years ago.
Why is that?
It's mostly due to changes in farming practices.
Really? The farmers are to blame?
To an extent, yes. Certainly the rise in the use of chemicals has had a big impact.
And they're poisonous to birds, are they?
Not directly, but their use results in the loss of plant and invertebrate food sources. Kill off what a bird eats, kill off the bird.
That's why it's called the food chain.
Exactly. And another key factor is that crop sowing times have changed. In the past, farmers would harvest a crop of, say, wheat in high summer and leave the remains of the plant, the stubble, in the ground until the next spring, when they would plant new crops.
So what happens now?
Now they remove the stubble and plant the new crops in the autumn. Because it's in the ground longer, the crop has more time to grow and they get a better yield.
Well, how does that affect birds?
The stubble used to provide an ideal habitat for birds to forage for food during the harsh winter months.
Oh, I see.
Other habitats are destroyed in other ways. For example, grasslands are drained or ploughed up. Hedgerows are removed to create bigger, more cost-effective fields. But the hedgerows provided a place to nest, protection from predators, and a good source of food, like berries, seeds, insects and so on.
So, are all birds equally affected by this? Are they all in decline?
The RSPB has...
Sorry, the what?
The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds has drawn up 3 lists, red, amber and green, which categorise over 240 birds in terms of conservation concern.
Red, amber, green, like traffic lights.
That's right. The red list contains 40 species, including those that are globally threatened or those whose population has declined rapidly in recent years.
What's on that list? Blackbirds?
No, though the starling, which is related to the blackbird, has recently joined the red list, as has the house sparrow. One of the birds people are most concerned about is the skylark, which has been greatly affected by habitat loss.
So what about the amber list?
That includes 121 birds with unfavourable conservation status or whose population has declined moderately in recent years. That includes birds of prey, such as the kestrel and osprey, woodland birds like the cuckoo, water birds like the long-tailed duck, and farmland species such as the lapwing.
And are all other birds on the green list?
Not necessarily. It doesn't include those species that are not native to the UK, foreign species that have been introduced deliberately, such as the Canada goose, or those that have escaped from domestic cages, for example parrots.
I don't suppose it includes summer visitors either, you know, like swifts.
No, they are included in fact. They are in this last category.
So is anybody doing anything about all this?
Thankfully, yes. The RSPB is campaigning to stop this loss of biodiversity by putting pressure on the government to invest money to rescue and protect threatened habitats.
But I thought you said that farmers were to blame.
Well, the RSPB is calling on the government to reform the Common Agricultural Policy so that agricultural subsidies only go to environmentally friendly farmers.
I guess that would encourage them to change the way they do things.
That's right. And there's a further initiative which encourages farmers to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
What's that then?
They're being asked to turn off their seed drills occasionally for a count of 2 seconds when sowing winter cereals. This will leave small areas of land, about 4 meters square, that can be used by skylarks for nesting and feeding.
And will farmers do this?
As an incentive, they're being offered £5 for each skylark plot. The RSPB is aiming for 2 plots in every hectare of land.
And will this work?
Hopefully. The RSPB reckons that if these empty patches are created on just 1/5 of Britain's arable farmland, the decline of the skylark could be halted and then reversed.
Well, that's very interesting. Let's hope it works.
Yes, let's.
That is the end of the listening section.